The City of Ottawa is appointing a new liaison for anti-racism and ethno-cultural relations. Joining me now is the man who will be taking on that task, Ralston King. He's also Ottawa's first Black City Councillor. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on this new role. Talk to me about it a little bit. What are the first things you plan on tackling in this new job?
So primarily the role ensures that there is a coordination and a liaison between residents in Ottawa and the new anti-racism secretariat that we've established. And that's a policy unit that's going to aim at addressing racism, especially systemic racism in the city, to ensure that all residents have access to equal opportunities and equity of opportunities and equity of outcomes around governance, around health outcomes, around economic development, around employment opportunities. So it's very important that our residents have access to these things to address issues of racism, especially for the racialized communities, the Black community, and our religious communities, which include the Jewish community and the Islamic community.
Mr. King, you just mentioned the economy and health care, as well as health outcome. Where, in your view, does fixing systemic racism start? Because this seems like you've got to tackle, you've got to have the business community involved, the healthcare community involved, which involves multiple levels of government. It seems like a very, very big job.
It is a large task, but we have to start somewhere. I think we have to address the problems that a lot of our residents are facing. A quarter of our residents are racialized people, and the outcomes that they are seeing in terms of their participation in both city life and the economy is not optimal. So it's important that we start somewhere, and I think we start with a conversation first. So we're going to have conversations in public consultation with communities to see what their needs are. And then we move on to education, because I think it's also important that people in our city have a sense of what it is to walk in other shoes, to see what the challenges are that they face. And then the other key will be utilizing the policy unit at the city to create policy prescriptions, to actually create changes, and to ensure that we're living up to our policies that are on the books. That's one of the issues that we've had and that we identified, and why we created an anti-racism secretariat at the city, because we realized we have policies around diversity, around employment diversity, but we're not measuring and monitoring the effectiveness of those policies.
Mr. King, there's a conversation in certain circles about defunding the police in various cities. Police budgets come from the city. Is this something you're for or against?
Well, I think it's more nuanced than simply being able to defund. I am definitely for more investments in communities. That's why I actually got involved in politics. I put my name on the ballot because a good friend of mine in my community could not obtain $5,000 in a city grant to run an after-school program. So, we're going to work in conjunction with our police chief to see if we can identify extra funds for communities and extra funds for mental health. But the reality is, in Ontario, we have a structure in place that does not make it very easy to defund the police, even if we wanted to. We have a civil board that determines where spending happens. The police service provides that recommendation to that board, to that civilian board. It's elevated to council. Council cannot exercise control over operational spending. And even if we were to cut dollars, there is another commission that could just reinstate the funding. So the reality is we're not like the United States or LA, who can, point blank go and actually remove funding and control the operational spend of the police. So I think a more realistic approach is ensuring that we invest in communities and that we work with the senior orders of government to do that.
Mr. King, thank you so much. This sounds like a daunting task, but you seem equal to it. We wish you the very, very best, and we hope you'll come back at some point and give us a sense of where you think whether you think the job whether you've been able to accomplish the tasks ahead of you. Thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.